The crisp October air sent shivers down my spine as I ventured into the dimly lit neighborhood, my heart pounding with the anticipation of a night filled with tricks and treats. Halloween had always been my favorite holiday, a night when the ordinary world transformed into something mysterious and magical. But little did I know that this Halloween would be unlike any other. Dressed as a classic vampire, with a velvet cape and fake fangs, I joined my friends as we set out for our annual trick-or-treating adventure. The streets were adorned with eerie decorations and the occasional jack-o'-lantern casting an otherworldly glow. Shadows danced on the walls, and the wind whispered secrets only the night could understand. As we moved from house to house, our bags filled with candies, a peculiar unease settled over me. Something felt wrong, out of place. It was as though the very air had turned thick and malevolent. I glanced around, but the source of my discomfort remained elusive. We continued on our quest, the moon hidden behind heavy clouds, casting an eerie darkness that clung to us like a sinister shroud. That's when I saw him, a figure lurking in the shadows, obscured by the misty night. He was tall and slender, his face concealed beneath a hood, his presence cloaked in mystery. At first, I dismissed it as a fellow trick-or-treater, but there was something unsettling about the way he moved, the way he watched us. My friends noticed too and quickened their pace. As we reached a poorly lit street, I couldn't shake the feeling that the hooded figure was still there, following us, drawing closer. The street was empty, our footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. I turned to my friends and whispered, "Do you see that guy? He's been following us." They exchanged nervous glances, their costumes suddenly less playful. "Yeah," one of them replied. "I thought it was just my imagination." We decided to confront the stranger. I turned around and shouted, "Hey, who are you? Why are you following us?" My voice trembled, but I tried to sound brave. The hooded figure stepped into the feeble light, revealing pale, gaunt features and sunken obsidian eyes. He remained silent, an unsettling smile creeping across his face. In his hand, he held a black rose, its petals a stark contrast to the surrounding darkness. Terrified, we turned and ran, our footsteps echoing through the empty streets. But no matter how fast we sprinted, the hooded man seemed to glide effortlessly behind us, closing the gap with each step. Panic surged through my veins, and I knew we needed to find safety. We reached a small, decrepit park, its swings swaying eerily in the wind. With no other options, we hid behind a cluster of withered trees, our breaths ragged and hearts pounding. The hooded figure emerged from the shadows and circled our hiding place, like a predator taunting its prey. As he drew closer, I noticed something peculiar about the black rose in his hand. It seemed to wither and bloom with each passing second, a living contradiction. The very essence of the night appeared to be woven into its petals. I whispered to my friends, "We need to do something. This guy is not just a regular person. There's something strange about that rose." We gathered our courage and decided to confront the hooded man once more. Stepping out from behind the trees, we faced him and demanded, "Who are you? What do you want?" The man's unnerving smile widened as he spoke in a voice like the rustling leaves. "I am but a harbinger of the night, an omen of things yet to come. You have been chosen, and the black rose has marqueed you." With a flourish, he extended the black rose toward us. It radiated an ethereal beauty, captivating us with its mesmerizing dance of life and death. He placed the rose in our trembling hands, and a chilling sensation ran through our veins. The world seemed to blur around us, and as our vision cleared, we found ourselves in a place that defied description. A realm of eternal twilight, where the boundary between dream and reality dissolved. The hooded man was gone, and we were alone in this surreal landscape. We realized that we were no longer mere mortals, for the black rose had changed us. Time lost its meaning, and we wandered through the shadows, haunted by a sense of longing and a profound mystery. As we searched for a way back to our world, we encountered other lost souls who had also been marked by the black rose. Each one had a tale to tell, each one trapped in this endless night. With each passing day, I felt my connection to my own world slipping away. The memories of my previous life became hazy, replaced by the enigma of this twilight realm. We were now the ones who watched from the shadows, the mysterious figures who haunted the night. And so, as Halloween approached in the world we had left behind, the children in our neighborhood began to sense an eerie presence. They felt a shiver down their spines as they moved from house to house, their bags filled with candies, their hearts pounding with fear. It was as though the very air had turned thick and malevolent, and the Black Rose had found new victims. But they would never know the strange and wondrous world that lay beyond the darkness, where time was but an illusion, and the boundary between life and death was forever blurred. For we were the enigma, the riddle that would forever haunt their Halloween night.
Halloween night had always been a thrilling adventure for me. A night of costumes, laughter, and candy. This year, however, would be different, marked by an experience that would forever haunt my memories. Dressed as a wicked witch, my pointy hat and green face makeup added an air of sinister mystique. My friends and I set out under the moon's eerie glow, the streets alive with trick-or-treaters. We wove our way through the neighborhoods, racing to collect as many sweets as we could. As the night wore on, our candy bags grew heavier with the spoils of our trick-or-treating endeavors. The air was filled with excitement, the rustle of leaves underfoot, and the distant laughter of children. But as we approached the last house on our route, something peculiar happened. The house loomed ahead, its porch illuminated by an eerie flickering light. A thick fog seemed to seep from the cobweb-covered windows. I hesitated, my friends urging me to go ahead. With a nervous laugh, I climbed the steps and knocked on the door. The door creaked open, revealing an old woman with gnarled fingers, her eyes hidden behind thick, dark glasses. She smiled, her teeth yellow and crooked as she handed me a small velvet bag. "Happy Halloween, my dear," she croaked, her voice sending shivers down my spine. I thanked her and rushed back to my friends, who were already ahead. We decided to call it a night and headed back to our homes. The atmosphere outside grew darker, and the wind whispered secrets that only the night could understand. Back at home, I eagerly opened the bag from the old woman. It felt heavier than a typical treat bag, and my curiosity got the better of me. I loosened the drawstring and gasped in horror as I emptied its contents onto the kitchen table. A severed eyeball lay there, its bloodshot veins and eerie gaze frozen in time. I recoiled, my heart pounding in my chest. This couldn't be real. It had to be a sick prank. I called my friends, my voice trembling, and asked if they had received a similar treat from the old woman. They all confirmed that they had received ordinary candy, nothing like the grotesque gift I had found. Panic welled up inside me, and I knew I had to confront the woman who had given me the severed eyeball. But when I returned to her house, it was gone, as if it had never existed. The fog had dissipated, the porch empty, and the old woman nowhere in sight. I searched the neighborhood for any sign of her, but she had vanished into thin air. Terrified and confused, I returned home, the severed eyeball still on the kitchen table, its gaze following me. It was a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. As the days passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that the eyeball held a sinister secret. It seemed to watch my every move, its presence a constant reminder of the eerie night. I tried to convince myself that it was just a prop, a sick Halloween prank meant to disturb, but its lifelike appearance told a different story. Night after night, I was haunted by dreams of the old woman with her dark glasses and her sinister grin. The severed eyeball featured prominently in these nightmares, its gaze following me as I ran through a maze of darkness. I couldn't escape the feeling that it held some dark and ancient power. Desperation drove me to research the macabre relic. I discovered a legend that told of a witch who could see the future through her severed eye. A witch who used her dark gift to meddle in the affairs of the living. The eye had been passed down through generations, a cursed heirloom that brought misfortune to its possessor. I realized with dread that the old woman had given me her own severed eye, a cursed relic of untold power. It was a gift that bound me to her, a connection I could not sever. As the days turned into weeks, I began to experience strange and unsettling visions. I saw glimpses of the old woman's life, her dark rituals, and the malevolent forces she had harnessed. The severed eye revealed secrets of the past, present, and future, but the knowledge came at a terrible cost. I could no longer distinguish between reality and the dark visions that plagued my mind. The line between the living and the dead blurred, and the curse tightened its grip on my soul. One fateful night, as I lay in bed tormented by the eye's relentless visions, I heard the sound of croaking laughter and the whisper of the wind outside my window. The old woman's voice, soft and sinister, echoed through the darkness. "You possess the eye now, my dear," she hissed. "You are bound to me for eternity." In that moment, the room filled with a putrid fog, and the severed eyeball on my bedside table pulsed with an eerie light. I realized with horror that the curse was complete, and the old woman's malevolent presence had crossed over into our world. As her dark influence engulfed me, I knew there was no escape. I had become a vessel for her sinister magic, forever bound to the curse of the severed eyeball. My world had transformed into a nightmare where the living and the dead existed in a malevolent dance, and the boundaries between them were forever shattered. And so, as Halloween approached once more, children in the neighborhood would hear tales of the Wicked Witch with the severed eye, a cautionary tale of the sinister gift that could forever bind a soul to the darkness. And in the quiet of the night, they would feel a shiver down their spines, knowing that the curse of the severed eyeball lived on, waiting to ensnare those who dared to cross its path.
Halloween night was filled with an air of mystery, and I was determined to make it one to remember. I had heard the rumors about the old abandoned house at the edge of town, a place shrouded in tales of ghostly apparitions and supernatural occurrences. It was the perfect setting for an adventure, a night to test the limits of our bravery. So, my friends and I, a group of eager teenagers, gathered around a Ouija board with the flickering candles in the dimly lit room of the eerie house. I was dressed as a daring detective, complete with a trench coat and a magnifying glass. The house's interior was just as chilling as its exterior, with creaking floorboards and dusty furniture draped in white sheets. Cobwebs clung to the corners, and the faint howling of the wind outside added to the haunted ambiance. As the leader of our small group, I took charge of the Ouija board. My friends watched with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as I placed my hands on the planchette. We began to ask questions, taunting any spirits that might be listening to make themselves known. The planchette trembled, and I assumed it was one of my friends playing tricks. But then it started to move, spelling out words and forming coherent responses. The room grew colder, and I could feel a presence around us. A collective shiver ran through our spines. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. The planchette moved slowly, spelling out a name. "Evelyn." "Evelyn, are you here with us? Are you a ghost?" I asked, my curiosity mingling with fear. The planchette responded, "Yes." Excitement and fear coursed through us. This was what we had hoped for, an encounter with the otherworldly. But as the questions continued, the mood shifted from thrill to terror. Evelyn claimed to have lived in the house and died there under mysterious circumstances. She said she was trapped between worlds, unable to move on. Our curiosity got the better of us, and we pressed for more information. Evelyn told us she wasn't alone. She said there were others with her, spirits who had been drawn to our seance. As if to prove her point, the planchette suddenly jerked to a new set of letters, spelling out a chilling message: "We are here." A chill ran down my spine as I realized the gravity of our situation. We had unwittingly called upon a group of restless spirits, and they were not happy to be disturbed on this Halloween night. The room grew darker, and the candles flickered erratically. The temperature dropped further, and the air grew thick with an oppressive energy. The house creaked and groaned as if it were alive, and we heard whispers, voices from the beyond, drifting through the air. Panic set in as we realized that these spirits were no mere phantoms of our imagination. They were real, and they were here with us. We had unlocked a portal to the other side, and the spirits were determined to make their presence known. As we frantically tried to say goodbye and close the connection, the planchette began moving on its own. It spelled out a cryptic message: "You cannot leave." Terror washed over us as the room seemed to pulse with a malevolent force. The spirits were angry, and they were not ready to let us go. The atmosphere grew suffocating, and I knew we had to make a run for it. We bolted from the room, leaving the Ouija board behind, and dashed down the creaking staircase. The house seemed to come alive around us, its dark corners filled with shadowy figures and whispered threats. We pushed through the front door, our hearts pounding, and spilled out onto the overgrown lawn. As we ran down the dimly lit street, we could still hear the echoes of ghostly laughter and whispered threats. The spirits had followed us, and we knew that they would haunt our every step. We were marked, forever bound to the other side. Halloween night, once a time of joyful celebration, had become a nightmare. The spirits we had awakened would never let us go, and the haunted house remained a sinister presence on the edge of town, a place we dared not visit again. That Halloween night, we learned that some mysteries are better left unsolved, some doors better left unopened. The supernatural is real, and the spirits of the dead can be more than just tales of the afterlife. They can reach out, touch us, and change our lives forever, as they did mine on that fateful night.